This is the show that has a proven track record.
The game itself, it's usually not a specific section of the game that jumps out. It's the entirety of the game. That's what people talk about.
This is a show that has a real approach to sports.
Only 540 people total, not on the football team, obviously, total signed up for this.
This is a show that's not going to give you the sweet stuff.
It's not to take anything away from his stretch run. I'm just not going to give him the award because of that.
This is the award-winning show that's giving you the truth, just like they always have.
What are we talking about?
Where are we at in society today?
Listen and learn.
This is Delay of Game, the Sports Talk podcast.
Oh, glad to have you in. Another edition of Delay of Game. Ryan Swanigan, Brent Bonfleur.
Hey.
And unfortunately, no Matt Rigby. He is out sick today. So
I passed my illness over to him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, Brent's the one that's usually responsible for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's just unfortunately how it is.
You gotta be kidding me!
Yeah, I know. Well, so this week, once again, just a two-man crew. I basically trade co-hosts. I gain one back, and then I lose the one I had for the week. So, also, and since Matt Rigby is not here, we have an update. Where's the update music? Here it is. Yeah. Update music. The hockey podcast has unfortunately been delayed by 2 weeks. We thought it'd be this week, but Matt Rigby is sick. And then, so that would mean, well, it can be next week. Well, Jessica Chamberlain who's going to be a part of that podcast, is going to be in Vegas. And so, therefore, not going to be able to happen. So, in 2 weeks from now...
You gotta be kidding me!
I know, I'm sorry. 2 weeks from now, the Hockey Talk podcast, I guess, or the Hockey Podcast, whatever they're going to call it, that will debut on the Delay of Game social media outlets, I guess. We'll have it on the Facebook page. We'll have it on our website, the delayofgamepodcast.wordpress.com, and Twitter as well, and YouTube. So we'll have it all there for you. And it should be some great stuff, too. So, without further ado, let's get into the show today. And I'm just going to apologize right now. We're once again talking about universities doing stupid things.
It's now time for a little R&R.
Ryan's rant, that is. Back to the explosion of a topic that Ryan has in store for today's podcast.
Yeah! Woo! Ah! Take it all!
There's something that's just really bothering the guy, and now you're about to find out what it is.
You gotta be kidding me! Nobody's tackling anybody! Do it live!
There's some absurd things going on in the world of sports, and Ryan's pretty fired up about them.
Hello? You kidding me?
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
That's not true!
And now, here's the original Delay of Game produced, Ryan's Rant.
We talked about last week why I rant about what I rant for the show. And Brent, I wish you had been there for that, because I feel like you missed out. But, and I'll just try and sum this up from last week. It's because people in society just don't do the right things. They are, they're lazy about it. They don't want to put in the effort. They want to take the easy route. Whatever you want to do, there is an excuse for why people don't do the right thing. Now, should they be offering up excuses? No. Simple point to it is you do the right thing that is for the best of people, or for it, that's for the best for people who are in need of things that don't, I guess, what am I looking for, Brent? Cause harm to them, or that destroy their life, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So that's what I ranted about last week. Is people in our society who don't take the right course of action. Baylor University, Missouri. We've seen numerous other universities in the past. Penn State, SMU. All sorts of dumb things that could have been prevented if people did the right thing. Once again, another university has been put into that same category as Florida State, as USC, as, you list them off. That's what it is. North Carolina, whatever. University of Tennessee is now, again, part of that scenario. Not just for what we talked about with the Peyton Manning thing 2 weeks ago, but more so the fact that the university is taking a very strong stance on defending themselves against this Title IX lawsuit that was filed on Wednesday. Now, Butch Jones, the head coach, has denied an allegation that a former volunteer wide receiver named Dre Bowles criticized Bowles for helping a woman that was allegedly sexually assaulted by two fellow teammates of Bowles on Tennessee's football team. And the allegation is that the wide receiver, Dre Bowles, was called a traitor by Butch Jones. Now, Butch Jones has denied the allegation, and athletic director Dave Hart has essentially come to the aid of Butch Jones, defending him almost profusely. But this is just, another addition to things that are going on at Tennessee that are slowly coming out, whether they happened or not. Now, we honestly don't know really the full truth of it. We can think we know it. We really for sure don't really know, because there are different statements coming from this wide receiver, Dre Bowles. Butch Jones really emphatically issued a statement saying that this is absolutely false, it is wrong, and I will defend myself to the bitter end, et cetera, et cetera. During the course of the judicial process, campus officials, and I'm quoting what Jones said, what Jones released in a statement, as well as the young man's own words, will clearly establish that I have done nothing wrong. I will fight all of these false attacks on my character, and I know that once this process has been completed, my reputation will be affirmed. Now, it's just, and the article goes on, and is like, one of the two women added to the lawsuit says she was sexually assaulted by Volunteers wide receiver Vaughn Pearson in April 2015, which is almost a year ago, which probably was around the same time that we were talking about some other dumb thing that took place in college sports at that time. It's literally at this point, it's almost a broken record of football players given freedom that they don't deserve until they've earned it, and they haven't. And these are the things that result from them having that freedom. You give them the world, they're going to take advantage of it and abuse it in whatever way they see fit. Whatever they want, they're going to try and get it. And it's just absolutely pathetic. And it's... the whole thing, it's just, again, it's like we're starting to slowly become numb to it because it just keeps happening. At this university, at that university, at this one over here, that one over there, one over here. You know, one after another. Whether it be, you know, violating NCAA protocol or having these sexual assault allegations. It's just, it's dumbfounding, really. It's pathetic, it's outrageous, it's whatever you want to call it, and I've said that before. This is from the ESPN article. Quote, the number of women who are suing the university for violating their Title IX rights and creating a hostile sexual environment increased to 8 with Wednesday's amended filing. Sounds like Baylor. It sounds, you know, probably it. And the thing too is that it also sounds kind of like Nebraska. But at Nebraska, no football players from what we know of right now have been found to be guilty or have, you know, had the allegations thrown their way of sexual assaults. But it still is happening at Nebraska. We're still having the, what do I say, Brent, the campus rape problem? Because that's essentially what it is, and it's outrageous. It's disgusting. That's what it is. It's disgusting. Whether it be at Nebraska or whether it be at Tennessee or at Missouri or at Baylor or at Florida State or wherever the hell it may be, it's just absolutely disgusting. It's pathetic. It's shameful. It's outrageous. It's idiotic. It's a disgrace to a lot of people. And I'm not talking just about the victims. I'm talking about the football players, the athletic department that brought those football players in. And the athletic department is ultimately connected to the university itself. So then that's involved. Oh, by the way, there are a whole bunch of students that go to that university too. So it's like, oh, you go to that university? Well, I heard this. And it's a spiraling, out of control situation. And it just continues to happen at one university after another. And it just doesn't stop. And it all goes back to, are you doing the right thing? Football players. How, if it happens, how the administration in the athletic department or the university itself is handling the matter. Are you handling it in a matter that brings down justice and punishment upon the guilty or responsible parties? That's how simple it is. You take the right route, you get the right outcome, and you make sure that crap like this doesn't happen again. But nobody is doing enough to stop it. Nobody. And it's just, it's not even mind-boggling. It's beyond that. And I don't even know what beyond that really is. It is that I don't even know. I don't know. I'm out of words, Brent. Help me out here. Because I just literally for a month now.
It's commonplace now.
Yeah,
is what
for a
it
month
is.
now we've been
Right.
talking about this, and on delay of game, this discussion, I guess, or the topic for this rant just continues to appear every so often on this show. And within the last year and 2 months, it is just, this topic just is probably determines more of these rants than any other sports topic that's out there.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. You got anything? Because
No,
I'm out of it.
Again, yeah, it's become so common that it's not even surprising anymore when this stuff happens. Typically, when one incident occurs, several more stem from that. It's a chain reaction type thing, and it just seems like you hear universities and officials and coaches say, "Well, this is a one-time thing," or we had no idea. How can that be true for all of these situations is what I want to know. How can none of these coaches, none of these athletic departments, none of these universities know that this stuff is happening? In the case of the Baylor player we talked about a few, I don't know, was it weeks ago, months ago? I don't know. It was a while ago.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It feels like a while ago. It was only a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. When one of the victims that this story was written about, that focused on, she went to talk to, I guess, like a counselor. I don't know exactly what the title was. And she said that she was raped by a Baylor football player. And the counselor said, and I can't remember the guy's name now either, but she said, was it? And then she said the player's name. And she said, yeah, it was him. And she said, you're the fifth or sixth girl to come in and say this, right? So it's like, if these people know, how do the coaches, how do these athletic departments and the officials and the university administration not know about this? I have a hard time buying that. And so when you think that, well, surely they must know, well, why aren't they doing anything about it? Or, they institute, and Title IX has helped a lot, but still, it's not nearly enough. There's nothing preventing this at all. And I don't know how you prevent it. I don't have a solution to offer, but, maybe there are warning signs that sometimes get ignored when there's a standout talent like Jameis Winston, right? Best quarterback. He has been the best quarterback since high school. He was the best in high school. He was the best in college. He's just had 1 year in the pros, but he did well. Might become great there too. Maybe do you ignore some of the character flaws? I mean, we see that all the time in sports. People take teams take chances on players with shaky backgrounds off the field because they're so talented. Robert Kimdichie from Ole Miss, the defensive lineman who's the number one recruit out of high school. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was just 3. I think he's coming out as a junior this year for the draft.
Because of stupid stuff that happened to him.
Right. And I was reading one of these, mock drafts, and it said Kimdichie might be one of the most talented players ever to be drafted to the NFL. Like, this guy's talent level is just off the charts. Like, once in a lifetime talent that you just don't see. But he's not the projected number 1 overall pick. He's like 16th or 17th because he has such bad off the field. I don't know if I want to say bad, but he's got some stuff off the field that is shady and you're unsure. But even still, he's going like in the top 15 to 20. So I don't know, at what point does protecting people. At what point do you start to acknowledge these warning signs and say no to these guys, and just not bring them in to play football for you or whatever sport it is? And I don't know, does that, I personally am of the opinion that because of the attention that these guys receive and the pedestal they're placed on in society, that encourages or makes it easier or makes it permissible in their minds to do these awful things. So, if Jameis Winston was not a football player, would he still have sexually assaulted someone? If this Baylor guy was not a football player, would he have sexually assaulted these 5 or 6 girls? I don't know. Obviously, athletes are not the only ones to do this. They're just a microcosm of society as a whole, and this is a problem in society. But I think it's just athletics, and particularly college and high school, because of just, again, the amount of attention and doting and people praising you for being a stellar athlete. It just is a breeding ground for these kinds of problems.
I don't know if it's a society thing. It probably is, but the overarching theme of being a man and proving that you're a man, and how that's just do manly things and stuff. How much has that saying, or I guess way to conduct your life, really been at probably the forefront of things like this, of the sexual assault thing, of women getting raped and sexually assaulted, and the way men conduct themselves, a lot of, not all of them, a lot of them, and living by that phrase, be a man. What is being a man? Is being a man sexually assaulting women, beating your children, drinking to God's end, living like an idiot? Is that what being a man is? Because if that's what it is, then that's probably where the problem lies. And if you're here's what being a man should be. Show some freaking respect. Respect yourself, respect others around you. Plain and simple.
Right.
I can't put it in I can't add more to that than those two things. Have respect. Try to be patient. That's the true definition of being a man. Being a leader. Being something, being someone that others can follow or look up to. Because I'll tell you what, I don't want my kids looking up to somebody who's sexually assaulted 5, 6, 7 women, or has rape allegations thrown against him, or, does drugs, drinks to no end, abuses his children. I don't want any of that. I don't want my children to look up to somebody who does that crap. Are you kidding me? Who would? Who does?
Right.
That's
well, and
the
unfortunately
problem.
For some of these athletes, that is the only role model that they had.
Exactly.
Which is sad and not their fault. But that doesn't mean that something still needs to be done to counteract that and show them that this is not an okay way to behave, and this is not an okay way to treat other people and to treat women, and it's not an acceptable way to live. And sorry that this is all you had to go off of, and we have sympathy for you and understand that, but okay, that is that is not a real way to conduct your life. So here's what we need to do.
Yeah. Don't be the societal version of being a man, guys. Because that's where our problems lie right now, is with that phrase, be a man. Think about what actually comes with that saying instead of what it means. Like, I'm blown away by the problems that stem from these simple sayings that, we think are what's best for society. It's like, no, that's not what's best for society. This is what's best for society, and you're turning a blind eye to that. Or you're being lazy and not doing something about it. All goes back to that. It will always go back to being lazy and not putting in the effort to make sure the right outcome happens. And that's what disgusts me, to be fully honest with you.
This is Delay of Game,
A sports talk podcast. Available on YouTube and online at thedelayofgamepodcast.wordpress.com.
And I do apologize for going on these rants that deal with morals and life and stuff. But when sports mixes into this, and it always will in some way, shape, or form, you can't not talk about it. That's just avoiding the conversation as a whole and not doing something about it. And we should be about a society that wants to do something about the problems that we have on this planet, and we just don't. So it's ridiculous. Let's get into an actual, I guess, sports topic, not just a sports and life topic, sports topic.
Delay of Game is going to the monitor and having a look at something controversial or crucial from the week in sports. It's under review.
So, speaking of dumpster fires, going into the sports world, I just thought about this earlier in the week. Actually, I think it was on yesterday, and I just thought to myself, boy, the San Francisco 49ers, just think about how terrible that organization is now and how blind that organization is to how terrible they really are. Think about it. Trent Baalke and Jed York just continue to lose players, and they just continue to get worse and worse and worse. So then, the two egos of the San Francisco 49ers decide, well, I don't think Jim Tomsula is going to do it. This was probably a mistake in the beginning. Our man is out there right now. Let's fire old Jimmy T and hire Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, and I was listening to Brian Dawkins talk about this on Thursday on SportsCenter. Chip Kelly is a very egotistical guy in that nobody can be higher than he is as far as the attention goes. Like, Chip Kelly has to be the top, he has to be the top of the pyramid where all the attention is at. Nobody can be smarter than him. Nobody can be better than him. Like, Chip Kelly is he's the guy at the top. So I thought this was so interesting when I heard Brian Dawkins say that, because the light bulb just went like that. It's like, wow, Chip Kelly might get fired after the end of this season. because Jed York and Trent Baalke both are just like Chip Kelly. They are and have to be the top of the pyramid. They have to be the guys that run everything, because that's what they do. They run the show. Doesn't matter the coaches. They run the show. Jim Tomsula, Jim Harbaugh, they were not about that. Jim Harbaugh is like, hey, I'm doing this stuff. And Jed York and Trent Baalke are like, nope. And Jim Tomsula was like, well, this is how it really should be. A little bit more laid back. And Jed York and Trent Baalke, this could go bad. Oh, look, Chip Kelly's on the market. See ya, Jimmy T. And here comes Chip Kelly in. In addition to all that, now Colin Kaepernick, he is apparently requesting a trade. This is in addition to literally the amount of players that have retired from the 49ers organization. They've had more players retire in the last 5 years. I think Doug Lowry and I talked about this. Last 5 years than they had in the previous 10 years. And now Colin Kaepernick wants to get out of here. Chip Kelly says that, Kaepernick is their man. Well, then why is Kaepernick wanting to get out of there? That's basically, what it is. So, the 49ers really, they have gone from Super Bowl competitor, competing for the Super Bowl to literally a dumpster fire that nobody wants to put, that nobody is addressing, and the people in charge are refusing to put out. That's what the 49ers are now. And it's really shocking. It's really terrible. One of my best friends who from the Bay Area, diehard 49ers fan, no longer a 49ers fan, a Packers fan now. Because it's just become so bad with the 49ers that they're just losing fans. Because who wants to be a fan of an organization, not just a team, an organization that is a mess, a complete mess, and the people in charge of that mess don't know it or refuse to accept it or hear it out or anything. They don't believe that there is a problem there. They are not looking to fix the issue, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. It's really all I can come up with the 49ers, and it's just almost appalling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, but just their dramatic fall from grace from, like you said, being Super Bowl runner-ups, almost won. Won the Super Bowl, came within about 2 minutes of winning the Super Bowl, had one of the hottest coaches in the league, one of the best, or at least hottest quarterbacks in the league, and now coach is gone. Quarterback is wanting to be gone, which I'm assuming this is going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Because typically when a player, especially a quarterback, wants out, you're not going to... If you force him to stay by whatever power you hold over him via his contract, he's probably not going to put out the best effort for you. And so if a quarterback wants out, it's probably in the best interest of the team to let him go. Which you mentioned the retirement. So not only that, but players they've lost to other circumstances or have left due to other circumstances, like Alden Smith, who Colin Kaepernick is apparently dating his girlfriend now, which just goes to show the dysfunction among the teammates themselves.
Yeah.
It's not just the front office. I mean, apparently these players do not, at least all of them, get along or see eye to eye. So yeah, it's just astounding to see a team that had so much talent and potential and looked to have cemented itself as one of the best teams in the entire league just a few years ago is now, as you so eloquently called them, a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
That looks, at least to me, to be nowhere near putting that fire out. I mean, bringing in Chip Kelly, I don't know if that... I mean, that's like bringing in a bucket that might be filled with water to help put this fire out, or it might be filled with, gasoline. I don't know which one he's going to be. So we'll see. Best of luck with that whole thing. But yeah, who's their quarterback going to be if Kaepernick leaves? Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert, I guess.
Does he fit Chip Kelly's system? Is he even talented enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL? I mean, he had like 2 good games, and by good we mean average for an NFL quarterback last season. But they were terrible. Their offense was pathetic.
It is, and honestly, to answer the question, who would they do for a quarterback thing? Well, Chip Kelly brought in a bunch of loons to Philadelphia. I'm sure he'll probably bring those same loons over to San Francisco.
Are they going to draft a quarterback?
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
You have one sitting right there in the Bay Area already at Cal.
Mm-hmm.
In Jared Goff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not just, bring him onto the other side of the bay?
No one probably wants to go there.
Bring him over from Berkeley.
Right.
It's just down the I-80 Bay Bridge.
Right.
Yeah, bring him down through into Santa Clara. Boom.
Yeah, it's
not much of a move.
Right. It's a bad thing when players don't want to be there, and even worse when fans. I mean, fans endure. I know this is all frivolous, but fans endure a lot, right? There are teams you're a Cubs fan, so you know what a drought feels like, where you don't make a championship game, you don't win a championship, or even teams that have never made the playoffs, or haven't in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like what it feels like to be a Tennessee Titans fan, I can only imagine. Or, a 76ers fan this season, or I don't know who the worst team in baseball is, but, how it feels to be a fan of one of those teams, or UCF in college and you don't win a game, or Kansas. Can you imagine being a Kansas football fan? I mean, it's just got to be awful. But what I'm getting at here is that these fans will endure losing seasons, or even when their team does well, like the Buffalo Bills in the 90s, losing 4 straight Super Bowls. Fans would endure that and still would stick with their team. But fans are bailing out of San Francisco because they just can't take the sideshow circus that is happening there right now. Which that's really, if you're an owner, that's really disconcerting.
Just incredible. Just really, really, absolutely incredible. Interesting note happening about 4 minutes ago. Up in East Lansing, the Penn State head coach, Pat Chambers. We saw the John Calipari thing where he got teed up, back-to-back technicals, and ejected. Well, it just happened to Pat Chambers in East Lansing.
There you go.
So that's just a few minutes ago here, at the time of this podcast being recorded. Speaking of which...
You're listening to Delay of Game,
a sports talk podcast. On Facebook.com/Delay of Game and on Twitter at DOG_podcast.
This is what's really going on with Brent Bonfleur.
So, last night, you, myself, the Nebraska insider of all Nebraska insiders.
That's right.
Devin Cleach. We were all together watching your team.
My boys.
Your boys. The Golden State Warriors take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And just so happened the last time those two teams played, we were also watching together.
Yep.
Last night was at my place. That time before was at your guys' place. And both times, Oklahoma City came out to this great lead.
Strong
The first
start.
time it was 9-0. This last time it was 8-0. And watching this game last night, Oklahoma City, well, let's put it this way. Golden State had no business winning that game. Absolutely
I would agree
none.
with that.
I mean, they just came out pretty flat in the first quarter. They still scored 20 points, but still, just the way the game was going, Golden State would kind of creep in, get it to like 6, and then OKC would push it back to like 11 or 14 or 16. And, Kevin Durant was hot. He was super hot. He was from 3. He was doing good. Westbrook was doing well. Serge Ibaka was on fire. But Steph Curry single-handedly was keeping Golden State in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He was scoring over half their points at many points in the game, and he was really the only one keeping it from being a complete blowout. Draymond Green had like no points. I don't think he finished with any points in that game at all. I think he became the first player in NBA history to have 14 assists and 14 rebounds, but no points.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, double check me on that. But and then Steph Curry got hurt, and he went to,
and it didn't look pretty either.
No, his ankle got stepped on in
the process of getting rolled too.
Right, yeah.
That was not good.
It was pretty nasty. And you just saw, all the life went out of OKC. I'm sorry, Golden State went out of Golden State. And you're like, okay, well, game's over pretty much,
And even though it was basically, a 5-point lead for the Thunder at that time.
Right.
It did not feel like it was 5
right,
points.
Yeah, it was fairly close at that time before Steph went out. And then, OKC sort of maintained a sizable lead.
It kind of stayed the same.
Right. And then Steph Curry comes back in. And he just, in that game, I've watched more Golden State Warriors games this year and this season than any other team, even Nuggets games, and just what's really going on here is that Steph Curry is unquestionably the best player in the NBA right now, and I don't even think LeBron James is that close to what he's doing right now. Now, that's not to say that Steph is going to have a better career or that even he is better than LeBron as a whole. I'm talking about this season right now. And now that very well may become the case. I don't know. LeBron is our era's Jordan. So it's hard to think of anyone else being better. But LeBron he's in his prime. But he is quickly approaching the peak of that prime, and within the next probably 3 years or so, I would say he's going to start to go down. Not dramatically. He's still going to be one of the best. But, just like all of them.
His body's going to catch up with him.
Yeah, right, exactly. His talent is superb, but eventually you just can't do it anymore. Like Kobe Bryant. Like every player ever. Shaq, all of these players. But what Steph Curry did last night, it was just amazing. So we were watching this game, and he would just not even be looking or facing the basket, and he would just launch up a 3, being defended, and it would go in.
It was the definition of a successful, quick turn and shoot.
Yeah.
From beyond the arc. Not just a pull-up jumper.
Right.
We're talking true NBA range 3.
Oh, yeah. And most of them were well beyond the arc, too, including his game winner, which was just ridiculous. And, you just watch this, and literally, I said out loud last night, I'm like, when he would shoot another 3 just from a ridiculous distance, I was like, no way. No way this is going in. And it would go in. Mm-hmm. And it was just so effortless. And even being hurt and missing, I think, at least 6 minutes of the game. I don't know, maybe it was more, the game time. It was a sizable chunk of, was it the third quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah, sizable chunk of the third quarter. He finished with 46 points and tied the NBA record for three-pointers made in a game with 12. And he only shot 14?
No, he broke it.
Oh, he did break it?
He broke it.
Okay.
He set it last year at 286.
No, I mean in a game.
Oh, in
he
a
had
game?
12 in a game. He tied that.
Okay,
he broke his own record for in a season. He's going to demolish that record. Yeah.
Oh, he's going to hit over 300.
Yeah. And he only shot there are two other people. I think it's Jordan and maybe I don't know. But there are only two other players in NBA history who have hit 12 three-pointers in a game, and they each had 16 and 19 attempts. Curry had 14. He went 12.
16.
He had 16?
12 of 16.
Okay,
from
he was
beyond
12
the
of
arc.
16. So the other guys had
for those, if you're
more.
Those of you at home are like, wait, what? Huh? Yes, I'll say that again. 12 of 16 from beyond the arc.
From three.
Yes.
And the thing was, it wasn't even hard. It was just almost once he passed half court, he was in range. And he practiced that too. He practices this, which just seems superfluous. It's why are you practicing half court threes? But he makes them. And then when he goes into the game, he makes them there too. It doesn't matter if he's uncontested in pregame warmups or if he has someone in his face.
Like Steven Adams, the center.
Right. Yeah.
With hand contact.
Shooting over this. And it's just unbelievable. And it's fascinating to watch. And I know people say, I don't want to compare greatness. I just want to enjoy it, which, yes, but also acknowledge
You're going after what Doug Collins said.
Well, no, I mean, this is what many people say. This is what I said in some cases, too, which, and my biggest thing is not comparing across eras, but recognize when there isn't a comparison to be made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know LeBron is doing well this season, and that he's had games like this and seasons like what Curry is doing, and that Jordan's had many seasons like this, but still, right now, I mean, it's not even remotely close. And you were just looking on your computer, I saw a headline that was, will Stephen Curry be the first unanimous NBA MVP? And I don't know who else you would vote for.
If Michael Jordan never was unanimous, I don't see how Steph Curry could.
Yeah, but who else would you vote for?
Well, that's what they were saying in the 90s, too, and somebody came up with it.
Yeah, I know. There's always going to be someone. But I'm asking you, this season, if you were a voter, who else would you vote for? LeBron? What?
That's
Why?
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, he's
because
the only other possible
he's still
candidate.
carrying Cleveland.
I know. Yeah, I agree. And Cleveland would probably be a much bigger train wreck without LeBron than Golden State would be without Steph.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's just no one is even remotely close to playing on his level. And it's just...
You remember what I said almost a year ago? It was on the last time that we were on KRNU radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to you, to Cody Broder, Michael Snow, Amsley, I think Devin was there too. I said to you all, Steph Curry is performing at about a Michael Jordan level.
Yeah.
He has shades of Michael Jordan going on, and I have never stopped saying that. You know me.
Right.
I have never stopped saying that since last May.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's true.
Yeah.
And now, right now, after last night, it's very true.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing, and I can confidently say this now, this is not an overreaction. I've been watching Steph Curry. I've been watching the Warriors since 2009. Steph Curry is the next Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say the next. He is the second Michael Jordan.
Right.
Because Michael Jordan was not of this earth. We know that. That has been cemented in everything. Steph Curry is doing that same unrealistic, crazy, ridiculous stuff. Now, Curry's now like, well, Michael Jordan could dunk. Yeah, he could. That's what was so amazing about Michael Jordan. what is so amazing about Steph Curry? He can shoot shots that you only can make in non-competitive action.
Right.
Like,
I don't think Michael Jordan has made some of the shots he's made.
On a basketball court on a side street somewhere.
Right.
In a pickup game outdoors with a metal net.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of successful shots. That's where you find them. You don't find them in the National Basketball Association, the top level of all basketball levels. That's Steph. Steph Curry's threes are Michael Jordan's dunks.
Right.
Both of them are the same when it comes to their maneuverability. Because Michael Jordan was juke moving people and sidestepping and doing crazy spins and slamming them home. Steph Curry, he's not slamming them home, but he's still breaking ankles, getting people falling flat on their face, stepping back and nailing the shot.
Right.
And Michael
Which
Jordan
he prefers.
and Michael Jordan did some of that too.
Mm-hmm.
But Jordan is more known for going to the rim,
Right.
or slamming it home.
Right.
Steph Curry just drains them.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically the same. And that's why I've been saying since May of last year, Steph Curry has shades of Michael Jordan. And that has only been proven more and more and more true as the season goes on. And it is unbelievable. And I still want to see and talk with people who doubt me and say, "Oh, you're wrong, man. You're absolutely crazy."
That's not true!
It is true. You just watched Steph Curry hit a game-winning three from just under 40 feet away from the basket.
Right. Contested.
With nobody else from his team in front of him. Everybody was either, beside him or behind him when he took that shot. They didn't move. They didn't run up the floor. They just gave him the ball, and he just goes right up there, hand in his face. "Oh, I feel like pulling back from three. Right about here's good." Boop. Swish.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Like, are you serious?
Just effortless, yeah.
And you're telling me that you can't compare him to Michael Jordan? Get out of here.
Right.
Stop it.
Different styles, but and the really amazing thing is that he doesn't have the body type of a LeBron James or even Michael Jordan.
Or even Michael Jordan, no.
Right.
But that's what makes him great, though.
Right.
Because he can just spin you around like one of those spinny tops,
Mm-hmm.
Put them on the table and just, there they go.
Right.
That's what Steph Curry does to you.
Right.
It's unbelievable. It's truly...
You gotta be kidding me!
Literally, I went to bed when I got home. We left at the end of Devin and I left Brent's place at the end of the third quarter. I went home. The last I saw was that it was going into overtime because Oklahoma City, fouled Draymond Green, I guess. Or was it Draymond Green or was it
I don't know. Stop watching as well.
They fouled Iguodala. Iguodala sunk the 2 free throws, and we're going to overtime. It's like, all right, I'm going to bed. I don't know what's going to happen now. I thought they were going to lose. They went to overtime. I wake up this morning. I see that highlight. I'm like, literally, my mouth dropped. In my groggy state, and half awake, my mouth dropped. And I woke up then because it's like, oh my gosh. His teammates were, they held back.
Right.
They held back. And Oklahoma City was basically defending the perimeter. And Curry saw that. I was like, all right, well, I'll just pull up from right here, I guess. 38 feet away from the basket. 38 feet. And drained it. And Mike Breen lost it. I've never heard Mike Breen lose it. He lost it. By the way, Draymond Green, 2 points. and they were both free throws. He was 0 of 8 from the
They
field.
don't make a field goal though.
0 of 2 from from beyond the arc. Was
Right.
2 of 5 at the free throw line. 14 rebounds, 14 assists, 6 steals, 4 blocks.
Wow.
Yeah. He led the team in all of those 4 categories: rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. But Steph Curry led the way in points. Klay Thompson had 32, which is like,
yeah.
that's cute.
Gets overshadowed.
That's
yeah.
cute. And everybody else, there was only one other player in double figures. That was Iguodala with 12.
Right.
With 12!
Oh my God!
Seriously.
You kidding me?
Kevin Durant had 37. Westbrook
He had a very good game.
Yeah, he did. It was great. Westbrook had 26. Ibaka had 15.
Again, Oklahoma City should have won that game.
Yeah.
Golden State had no business.
You take Steph Curry out, that's 46 points. Well, if Steph Curry doesn't come back from that injury.
Right. I think he had like 12 at that point, or like maybe 15
He
or
was
so.
15. He
Yeah.
had 15 at that time in the third quarter. The middle of the third quarter, he had 15. That's 31
Incredible.
points
Yeah.
when he came back.
Yeah. It's insane.
I
It's a season average in a quarter and a half.
I don't know what to tell y'all anymore who are just, you don't like Steph Curry or hating on him. You think, well, no. You don't get it. You don't say anything about that other than shock and awe. Anything that relates to that and how great that was. I'm serious. You don't say anything that's, well, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. No. You don't get to talk. You don't get to talk because that was amazing. That was Michael Jordan winning an NBA title on a buzzer beater jumper. That was literally incredible. LeBron James. Now I will say this. LeBron James to win a game in the finals no, it wasn't a game in the finals. I'm mixing it up. But LeBron James, you all know the shot. Marv Albert called it. LeBron James shot from about half court, fading away, I think to his left, I believe. He faded away left or right. And burying it at the buzzer. That was better than Curry's last night. But Curry's last night, just given how great of a game that was, just really unfathomable. Just absolutely unfathomable. I feel like we've given our props too here. We'll get to that in a second. First, Facebook.com/delayofgame. Twitter.com/DOG_podcast. Twitter.com/DOG_podcast. Or at DOG_podcast on Twitter. We're on YouTube. Search Delay of Game in the search box. And our website, if it makes it easier for you, the Delay of Game podcast.wordpress.com. Ryan Swanigan, Brent Monfleur, Matt Rigby out sick this week. He will be back hopefully next week. And so let's get to this.
Time now for Props 2, the segment of the show where Delay of Game gives Props 2 someone or something. Ryan Swanigan. Props 2.
I was going to give props to somebody else. I'll give it to him next week. Deservingly so, of course, as I've said. But props to Lane Grendel. I'll tell you, man, Lane Grendel, probably one of the smoother voices I've ever heard calling Husker Sports on the Husker Sports Network. Jeff Culhane he and Lane Grendel sounded a little bit similar. Jeff Culhane is now at West Virginia. But Lane Grendel, I mean, I when I think of Lane Grendel, I don't really think of Husker football, sideline, public address announcing. I think of Husker baseball. I think of Saturday afternoon, literally three booths down from the Husker Sports Network at Hawks Field, the Haymarket Park, in the press box. 3 booths down from Lane Grendel. And I'm not announcing, I'm just producing the game. And I'm just, I walk out of the booth, I walk down a little bit, I just sit right outside Husker Sports Network booth, and I just listen to Lane Grendel in the middle. I think it was about third or fourth inning. I think they do 2-2-2, the 2 instead of the 3 on, 3 off, 3 back on. I just listen to Lane Grendel. Lane Grendel call baseball. And Lane Grendel announced on Friday, it finally got released, that he has landed the number 3 broadcast job with the Milwaukee Brewers. The team just north of the Chicago Cubs. My boys, the Cubs. Lane Grendel is now going to be calling Brewers games on the road. And I don't know what his involvement is going to be at with the home games, but Lane Grendel is working with Bob Uecker, essentially. The great Bob Uecker. Just a bit inside. That Bob Uecker. Lane Grendel, Husker Sports Network. Lane Grendel, who has no minor league baseball play-by-play experience. Now, he's got baseball play-by-play experience, of course, with Husker Sports Network. But that Lane Grendel is going to be working with that Bob Uecker, calling games at Wrigley Field for the Milwaukee Brewers as the Cubs lay waste to those Brewers. Seriously, I can guarantee it.
It's the Brewers. They're not allowed to be good.
And they won't be for a long time because they're almost a dumpster fire too. But that's my props too, is to Lane Grendel, because being a play-by-play announcer, or formerly, I guess I'm in a holding pattern, in the midst of a holding pattern with that, and knowing play-by-play personalities and knowing who the good ones are and knowing who, I can hear a good play-by-play announcing voice within 5 seconds. That was Lane Grendel. Lane Grendel is going to be announcing for the Milwaukee Brewers road games, which will be at Wrigley Field. And so I don't know who I'm going to turn on, if it's going to be, listening to the Cubs side, or if I'm just going to, turn it on in inning number 4 or 5, whoever it may be. And there's Lane Grendel announcing Brewers baseball as they get destroyed by the Cubs. I really don't know what I'm going to do with that, but it's going to be beautiful, and it's just going to be absolutely awesome. I am so happy for Lane. I wish him all the best. I barely know him. He's probably seen me a whole bunch of times, but doesn't know who I am. That's beside the point. All the best to Lane Grendel announcing with the Brewers now, because that is just absolutely, unequivocally awesome, and all the best to him. I'm so excited for him. That's just going to be amazing. I might have to change my vacation plans to go see a Brewers-Cubs game just so I can see, oh, look, there's Lane Grendel, Husker Sports Network in the broadcast booth. Big props to Lane Grendel. All right, now that I'm done.
Brent Bonfleur.
Props 2.
That was like the longest props
I'm sorry,
ever.
that's just
like
enormous.
a mini Ryan's rant.
That's enormous for me, to be fully honest with you. That's enormous for me.
My props to is to Tim Duncan, who just joined Hakeem Olajuwon, Dikembe Mutombo, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Mark Eaton as the only NBA players to record 3,000 career blocks. Yeah, that's a lot of blocks.
Man,
that's
something else.
Yeah, that's like the number of times, like, I don't know, my phone number's been blocked by girls or something. You know, it's like, what can you think of that has been blocked more times than balls by Tim Duncan? That's a lot of blocks.
Oh, man. Brent Bonfleur, everybody.
He's a good kid.
And he's single. Ladies.
So let's see. If you played 20 seasons, that would be 150 blocks a season. Yeah. That's if you did 20 seasons. I don't know how many seasons Tim Duncan's played.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's totally unreal.
It's a lot of blocks.
For the second week in a row, we have no predictions because this time Matt isn't here. So, nothing
man.
there. But since Brent wasn't here last week, I can update you. You did very well last week.
Yes, it was my
very
time.
Very well. Matt did very poor, and I was in the middle.
Yes.
So,
coming back.
The latest prediction records for predictions right now, as they stand, Brent Bonfleur is 28 and 27.
All right.
Matt Rigby is 29 and 26.
Wow.
And I'm, of course, in my rightful place at the front of the pack, 32 and 23.
Okay.
So, you're back in it.
Stormed back in.
That's right. Matt aided you by falling down flat on his face.
Yeah.
But that is where we stand for predictions. And once again, we're in a holding pattern with predictions because Matt isn't here, so we can't predict anything.
Well,
so,
you know. Hey.
It is what it is.
You guys are just trying to stop my momentum.
No, we're just trying to be nice, because he and I could have easily pulled away from you last week and, just done our own predictions
well, you got to let me do my predictions after. Just because I'm not on the show doesn't mean I can't do predictions.
No, it's just difficult. It's difficult to try and coordinate that. Sorry.
I don't know about that. But
I'm sorry. That's what it is.
Sure.
Great show today. Brent Bonfleur, great as always, just like last fall. Don't fall asleep, Brent. I'm sorry I talked too long. We'll see you next week, hopefully with Matt Rigby. And we're going to be entering the month of March, believe it or not.
Wow.
And possibly a guest work podcast with Doug Lowry and maybe Michael Dixon next week, too. Possibly. Not sure. We'll talk to Doug and figure that all out. We'll see what happens. But thanks for tuning in. Facebook.com/delayofgame, at DOG_podcast on Twitter, and the Delay of Game podcast.wordpress.com. Great show today. Glad you listened all the way through. If you did, props to you.
Yeah. Props to the listeners.
Way to listen to
there you go.
all that crap you just had to go through. But, it is what it is. That's sports nowadays. Just crap that you have to listen to. It's one of those
sayings that you were ranting about earlier. It is what it is.
Exactly. Kind of like Bill Callahan saying. Bill Callahan. That's a name drop for you.
Whatever.
We'll see you next week.